Hello, so it's March 28th, year 2000, and this is a hiking channel, and I've resisted the temptation to talk about the coronavirus, but it is obviously something that's on every hiker's mind right now. So I thought I'd chime in. I'm not going to get political at all. I'm going to talk about facts. I am someone that strongly believes in science, and the numbers are obvious. We have a major problem, and we need to take this seriously. And people's lives are at stake. Deaths have risen from 1,000 to over 2,000 in 2.5 days. It's doubling. Here's a graph on the number of cases. I don't know how that looks. It's doubling every 3 days. We're up over 100,000. We have more cases than China. This is some serious shit. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my feelings about trail life and why we need to pause. I'm inside training right now for my summer hikings by practicing not shaving or showering, just to get used to my summer hiking. I'm quarantined. Unfortunately, my job's considered essential. I'm still working. I have an 87-year-old mother, almost 88 years old. I'm in my 60s. I'll be 61 in 2 months. I'm in the risk zone. And something that really hit me really closely is my daughter probably has coronavirus. She has been sick for 2 weeks. She's had a shortness of breath. She has a fever. And this is in the early stages. She can't even get into the hospital. Her doctor told her if it gets worse, call 911. She's 25 years old, so she's young and strong, but she's had a hell of a time. Some people don't even have symptoms, and that's the danger of this disease. You can spread it without even knowing it, especially in the 18 to 49, which is the majority of the cases. A lot of them don't even know they have it. And there's an incubation period of up to 14 days. So you could pick this up, travel all over the Sierra, and be exposing people like crazy. I realized to do one of these hikes, you've been planning this your whole life. You've turned your life upside down. You've been planning for your whole life. I've been planning on living another year in my life. My mom wants to live another year. It's the people that are at risk and the people that are elderly that these young people aren't taking seriously. In my neighborhood, I live next to a state park, Folsom Lake State Park, and it was so overwhelmed with people thinking this is a vacation that they had to close the state parks. A lot of the national parks are closed. Yosemite's closed, so you can't even get to those trailheads anyway. But my perspective is the West Coast. I usually talk about the Muir Trail, and I've been on a lot of sections of the Pacific Crest Trail as well, so the facts are obvious to me. My daughter was very, very ill, had to go to emergency. She hasn't been able to breathe for 4 days, and she's 26 years old. And to top it off, she got diagnosed with most likely having coronavirus 6 days ago. She got tested then, has not got her test results back. It's like we live in a third world country, people. So we have to take this seriously. California is really trying hard to stay on top of this and flatten this curve. And most people are abiding by it. But it's I've just seen people think it's a summer day. If the sun's out, everybody's congregating. We got to knock that off. We got to stop this. We're the #1 coronavirus cases in the world, and we haven't even tested. So I feel strongly about this. It impacts all of us. You people that are maybe you're young and you don't have any relatives you care about and you want to find yourself on the trail. The PCT isn't what it used to be 10, 15 years ago. It's a social gathering. They've had to have, for the first time, there's quotas leaving the border because there's too many people. So you're going to come across a ton of people. So let me just give an example of why this is super dangerous and people need to get off the trail and live to hike another day or not kill other people along the way. First of all, here in California, I've just read an article in our local paper that a lot of the East Side Sierra towns have don't want us there. Their economies rely heavily on hikers and campers. They don't want us there. People have said if you come, they're going to slash your tires. They're going to throw rocks at you. There's a lot of retirees in those towns. They don't want to frickin' die. So they are willing to put their economies on hold to live another year, and they enjoy the mountains too. They want to go up there. So the services are closed. Towns, a lot of the trail angels aren't out there like they were. Trail angels are retired hikers. They're not going to be there. People aren't going to be putting those water caches out there. People have been spoiled the last few years on the trail to have all these trail angels come out. They're not going to be there. And a lot of services and parks are closed, so it's not worth the risk. But so here's the thing with the JMT and the PCT. Shut up, dog. People come from all over the world to enjoy these beautiful mountains. So first of all, you're coming from outside the area. Everybody's coming from all over, including all over the world. Not right now because people can't get here. Then you congregate at the border. Then you might have already been exposed, but you might not even know it. You might not even exhibit symptoms, or it takes up to 14 days. So you hit the trail, and the first few towns you go through, my daughter's taking me to these towns. Mount Laguna and Julian are 43 and 77 miles in. Really quaint little towns. They don't want you there, but you're going to stop there, and you're going to need to stop there to resupply. Then you got Warner Springs, Paradise Valley, and at a mile 179 is Idlewild, where it's a big stop. Most hikers will stop there, get a hotel, and it's their first really good chance to get a shower. And my daughter's been sick for 2.5 weeks almost now. And you know where she was 2.5 weeks before the quarantine started? She was in Idlewild hiking around. So I don't know if she got it there, but that's just an example of how this can happen. Then you go all the way up to Canada and you stop in every little trail town. And you might not hurt yourself, you might not even know you're sick, but you're going to be exposing all these towns. And a lot of these little towns have a lot of retirees, so please be respectful of that. And I've mentioned this before about diarrhea on long hikes. It's the old gorp bags. You meet a hiker. Hey, you want some of my gorp? I've always said most diarrhea on the trail is caused by other people's poop. And it's like, how do you get other people's poop in your mouth? Oh, I just went to the bathroom. Here's some gorp. Hey, you want some gorp? Hikers already exposed each other to things on the trail. So the risk is just too high. So what do you need to do? Stay in shape. Hope things get better. For those of you wanting to hike the John Muir Trail, we're on quarantine now. This is going to get really bad in 2 weeks. I mean, you can look at this, see how I don't want to be right on this prediction, but things are going to be really bad probably for a month. And if you open up an area that doesn't have a lot of cases, then you start from ground zero. And you got to start all over. And we want to get this, if everybody cooperates, we can kick this in the butt and everybody will be good to go by this summer. Let's hope we can do that. The Pacific Crest Trail is the Pacific Crest Trail Association is recommending against hiking the trail until further notice. And that means you're probably not going to be able to do it this year. There are some people already on the trail. The Forest Service hasn't officially closed. It's technically legal in some areas, but the parks are closed. There's no services available. And it's, in my opinion, it's not the time to be out there doing this. Like a lot of people do these long trails that haven't really done a lot of hikes. There are plenty of other areas in the Sierra where you do get away from people. But the John Muir Trail and the Pacific Crest Trail, you're going to have to resupply. You're going to have contact with people along the trail that are going to leave when they start the trail and end the trail. They're traveling all over the country. It's like a recipe for disaster for other people so that you can pose by some boards at the border. I mean, yes, I want to do it too, but I'm going to hole up in my house until I can do it responsibly. And I want to be alive to do it too. So don't expose us old people. So, and you know what? The Sierra needs a break too. The wilderness needs a break now and then. This is going to be good for the areas to recover and the animals and the flora and fauna. It's just it's getting kind of ridiculous along the Pacific Crest Trail and the John Muir Trail in my opinion. The quotas are there to protect it, but man, it's getting crowded out there. So what do you do in the meantime? You could do local hikes, but again, try not to go to the popular areas. There's just too many people and social distancing is difficult. I work in a parks department and I'm seeing people out in groups playing basketball, football, softball, soccer. It's ridiculous. That is not social distancing. And my area hasn't been hit hard yet, but cases are starting to turn up. And those 18 to 49-year-olds are going to come home to their parents and grandparents, and boom, we're going to have a problem. So go explore your local areas. We have all kinds of trails around here that aren't so crowded. You just have to search them out. Sometimes it's just a little hill. I have a local hill here that nobody climbs. And that's one of my training areas. And like people are like going up into the mountains. I do have a little gray area on that one. If you can get to a trailhead in an area that's more remote, and I know spots where you're not going to see people. Now, I'm not talking about a major trailhead where there's always a ton of people. Somewhere a little more remote. If you can get up there without stopping in a town, a store, you're filling up your gas at home and driving to that trailhead, and maybe you need to get gas, put some gloves on, make sure you wipe down everything, do not leave any germs anywhere, and you can get to that trailhead and do a little local hike where you don't have exposure. I could see doing that, but you can't stop along the way. That includes fast food. You can't stop for any services whatsoever. Get to your trailhead, hike, and come back. That's the only thing I can see as doable and safe. So just be smart. I hate to be preaching like this, but I have personal investments, including my life, and especially my mother's life, and I've been hit personally with my daughter, who's a very healthy person. She had to go to the ER with breathing difficulties, and she was very, very sick, and she is in incredibly good health, not like me, but the trail, she's getting better, by the way, but she still doesn't know whether she has it for sure. Her doctor thinks she did, but we don't know, and there's all kinds of people that have been tested and don't know, and the numbers are going to balloon. So let's just pause for a few weeks, and then maybe some people can get out there again, but wait till the all clear's out there, because you don't want to be that patient zero that kills off a bunch of people. So the trail will be there tomorrow, and I want to be there tomorrow. So please be responsible. We can only get through this together, and I know a lot of us are going stir crazy, but we got to do this, and let's beat this thing. And let's get out on the trails. So be careful out there. Thanks for watching.